Today, a Minnesota mining quandary. Twin Metals wants to mine copper on the edge of a gem, our Boundary Waters. We dig into the tale of our North Woods now at risk.
Minnesota Bound. Brought to you by Minnesota's select GMC dealers.
Hey there, Laura and I welcome you to a very special edition of Minnesota Bound.
Today we tackle the story of the proposed copper mine just outside Ely, Minnesota.
At this point, most folks have at least heard about the project. Twin Metals wants to dig near the edge of the Boundary Waters,
Where many people are concerned the copper mine may pollute the Boundary Waters, a place we all love.
Some places we the people protect at all cost. Vast miles of undeveloped woods and water cover northern Minnesota's Arrowhead. A place of wanderlust, always has been. A maze of lakes and rivers long ago labeled both perfect and pure.
The air is different, the water is different, the smell is different, the sounds are different.
President Theodore Roosevelt saw merit in Minnesota's North Woods. His proclamation of 1909 created the Superior National Forest. In the 1950s, the U.S. government further mapped and created the Boundary Waters. A 1978 act permanently protected the Boundary Waters Canoe Area wilderness, now 1.1 million acres of land and 1,100 lakes. A wilderness to never be developed, but forever explored, only on foot or by canoe. A protected destination that stirs up plenty of emotion these days.
This mineral resource here hosts about a third of the United States copper deposits.
We're talking about 700 high-paying jobs in this area. This is a new mine. This is the future.
This is crazy. What the hell are we thinking? How could you ever put a toxic sulfide ore copper mine next to really the world's most popular wilderness?
The town of Ely sits smack dab in Minnesota's North Woods, a wilderness burb that seems to survive on outdoor fun and tourism. But if you look closer, not everyone believes in an economy of camping in canoes.
Ely has always been divided. This is an interesting town. We've been at war with each other since 1907.
The dispute stems from a proposed copper mine. Twin Metals wants to dig just minutes out of town, not far from the edge of the Boundary Waters. To appreciate Ely's debate is to first better understand the project.
This is core that has minerals in it, and you can see the gold pieces. Those are the sulfides, which contain the minerals that we're after. And this is just water.
Dean DeBeltz heads up Twin Metals' Ely operations. He grew up in Ely. Twin Metals wants to exploit a rich underground deposit of copper and other metals.
We've drilled over 2 million feet of core.
That core revealed exactly where Twin Metals' treasure hides.
Every box is full of core. Every box was hand-loaded on the shelves individually.
The company hopes to mine deep underground, all the way down to 5,000 feet. A processing plant back up on top would separate copper, nickel, and other coveted metals from the sulfide ore.
You crush it, pulverize it, and you're left with the copper concentrate, a nickel concentrate, and tailings.
Ah yes, the tailings, the leftovers from the mining process. Here is where the story gets interesting.
Dry stacking tailings means that you're taking that mine waste and you're really pushing the water out of it. So you get to a beachy sand kind of moisture content.
The problem, say critics, mining copper creates sulfuric acid. It's a simple chemical reaction when sulfide ore contacts air or water. But Julie Padilla says Twin Metals can mine copper, nickel, and cobalt without danger to Minnesota's environment.
For us underground, we can surgically extract them, remove them, and ensure that we don't have acid generation in our tails, and we're ensuring we protect the environment as well.
Twin Metals plans to bundle that sand-like mining leftover into giant piles 120 feet high. Workers would cover those hills with soil, then trees and plants. Engineers call the technique dry stack.
This is one of our hydro well sites. This is actually MN 547.
Twin Metals has already drilled 60 water testing wells.
We need them to help build our model to understand the hydrology of the entire area. It's really to understand water as a whole, the big picture.
The big picture really looks like this. The proposed copper mine sits here, south and east of Ely. Twin Metals wants the dry stacks of mine tailings to go right there. And the water, well, that's Birch Lake and the Quishwe River.
Quishwe is really the main artery of the Boundary Waters.
And that funnel of moving water creates the big debate. Opponents of the mine project say potential pollutants will alter or ruin our scenic boundary waters. We paddle deeper into that discussion next.
We have an incredible resource here that needs to be protected.
This is not a panacea, it's not a boom. It's just a potential for a disaster.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Minnesota Select GMC dealers, Rapala Ice Force, Star Bank, and by Hewitt Docks, Lifts, and Pontoon Lakes.
No doubt we all use copper in our trucks, our cars, our homes, and our electronics. But what few seem to be able to agree upon is whether Twin Metals should be able to mine a rich copper deposit on the edge of the Boundary Waters. It is a debate getting national attention.
Ely, Minnesota's chamber touts this tourism town as the last great pure experience. But some folks here see a clearly different perspective.
This community is in the decline. They want economic development here, and this is an opportunity.
Twin Metals representatives say building a new copper mine would change Ely's economic landscape.
Over 700 high-paying jobs full-time at the mine itself. That results in 1,400 direct spin-off jobs, and then the economic impact outside of that.
Again, you know, we often talk about mining versus tourism, and they've coexisted for as long as this town has been here.
In this downtown outfitting shop, owner Steve Paragas does not mince his words.
Hell no, not in this place, not in this beautiful, pristine place where the water is the cleanest there is in North America.
Paragas has helped tourists paddle off into the Boundary Waters for more than 40 years. Before that, he worked as a biologist.
Every copper mine that's ever opened, there's lots of studies on this. In the last 25 years, every one of them pollutes within a few years.
Exactly why, on this morning, outfitters gear up.
This is the dry food.
Lucas Leaf offered to lead a group of curious writers and conservationists into the Boundary Waters. Leaf works for a nonprofit focused on protecting the Boundary Waters at all cost.
We need to talk about the now and what we have here and what everybody can see and experience here.
The idea
We're going to be paddling upstream today
to visit Gabbro and Little Gabbro, two Boundary Waters lakes near the proposed mine site.
Gabbro is named after the rock which is so common here.
the very same sort of rock Twin Metals hopes to mine.
The 200 rod portage.
These people represent voices that do not oppose mining. They just see this project in this pristine place as an absolute mistake. Leaders like Land Tawney, a BWCA newbie. Land lives out west in Montana and fights for public land use and, more importantly, its protection. Land heads up a nonprofit called the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
We are here to elevate the voices of the people that are here on the ground, that has been here and wants to keep it the way it is.
We hike gear off the grid and into the wilderness, where the only way in and out is by your own power and your own urge to explore.
You can talk about an issue as much as you want, but people need to see the place that you're talking about and experience it and see and smell and touch. And that's that experience that I think we need to protect for future generations too.
The concern among opponents of the mine slides by right there. See that current?
The mine's along the border of the South Cowish River on both sides of Highway 1. It's within a half a mile of the Boundary Waters border where that underground mine might be eventually.
Steve Paragas and plenty of other critics worry that current would quickly carry Twin Metals pollution right through northern Minnesota's wilderness watershed.
And the idea that all this water flows north and where the mine is on the southern edge just doesn't make sense to me. There are some places in this world that we should not even think about threatening. And this is one of those places.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Connecticut.
Mining has long been a tradition up in Ely, Minnesota, but to look at the proposed future of mining in this town is to see a very different story than the past.
Ely's 130-year mining tradition lies in iron ore, the raw stock of steel. But Ely's new proposed copper mine would change that history. Twin Metals project would introduce a more volatile form of mining, what experts call sulfide extraction, a process well proven to be very hard on Earth's environment.
Sulfide or copper mining is a threat to this area, not only for that, but also the robust economy, outdoor economy that this place supports too.
The beauty of our area brings people here, right? This mine can help support living wages to keep people here year-round and enjoy this area. That's important.
This is Ground Zero, a beautiful place. This is exactly where Twin Metals hopes to someday be mining, right here underground. And no matter which side of this debate you're on, the question remains, is it worth the risk?
Our strong stance is no, absolutely no. It's not worth it. We have strong economic studies and science-based studies that are all peer-reviewed that are also saying the same thing.
This recent Harvard study suggests that any mine near Ely would ultimately have a negative impact on the economy. It is a classic boom-bust scenario where any initial gains eventually disappear, just like people and the mine.
We keep this place clean, our jobs are sustainable. Mining is absolutely never sustainable. The resource goes away, it gets used up. How can it be sustainable?
You have 20% of the fresh water in the entire national forest system here, and 3 million acres in the Superior National Forest. It would be a huge mistake if we did anything to threaten this area right now. Huge mistake.
Seems to be the consensus on this night in this Boundary Waters camp.
Dirt's gotten underneath my fingernails. It's a place that, you know, I think I was already committed to protecting, but now it's even deeper inside of me.
Truth is, each of us must have a voice. We as Minnesotans must decide what is most important in our land of 10,000 lakes and 1 protected boundary waters. What do we covet most? Places we, the people, protect, or those we choose to exploit?
We've been gifted to us. We stand on the, you know, the shoulders of giants. We have this conservation legacy in this country. And so now it's our turn to do our part to carry that on.
Minnesota Bound is brought to you by Ice Castle Fish Houses and by Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Everyone seems to be developing an opinion on the proposed copper mine near the Boundary Waters.
You know, even so, I think we all need to remember why our nation saw fit to protect such a grand wilderness.
And my dad shares a few thoughts on the beloved Boundary Waters.
If you've never ventured into Minnesota's Boundary Waters wilderness, the experience offers an odd juxtaposition. Countless people purposely head into the boondocks carrying survival gear in a Duluth backpack while also lugging a tippy canoe across a portage to travel lake to lake. Come nightfall, those same people typically sleep on the ground in a tiny tent surrounded by mosquitoes. They'll awake with a stiff back and a chill in the air. Next, they'll have to find firewood and prepare something edible for breakfast. Hey, there's no McDonald's down the block. When it's time to eat, they'll have to find a rock or find a stump for a chair. And they'll cherish every moment. How can that be? Mankind has been trying to eliminate these same hardships for centuries. Yet some of us choose, as they say, to rough it, which means to go without conveniences, to use paddle power to cross the lake instead of horsepower. So what gives? The answer lies in the minds of each and every person who enters the Boundary Waters. Each of us goes forth, goes minimal, goes slow for our own reasons. A wilderness offers this kind of smorgasbord of human values. There's something about the need to slow down. You can't cross a lake in a hurry, not with a paddle. So you rediscover the mental value of taking your time. Slow down. There is much more to life than rushing through it. Listen to the wilderness. Wait for a bite. Catch a fish. Enjoy the morning. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the sunset. Is a wilderness experience reality? Yes, but we can't stay there. We live a hustle and bustle lifestyle today in America. That too is reality. But a visit to true wilderness, such as our Boundary Waters, offers a chance to, well, renew our human spirit, to take stock of life, to relearn the joy of simple pleasures, such as finding a good log to sit on. That sounds corny, I know, but it isn't. This may explain why so many of us fear the idea of mining on the edge of the Boundary Waters. Mine supporters promise more jobs and pollution controls. But what if they're wrong? What if the mine accidentally poisons the waters of our wilderness? Is a mine with jobs worth the risk? We can create jobs in other places. We can't create another Boundary Waters.
Twin Metals recently submitted its mine plan, and even if they get federal and state approval, they say they won't really get to work for another 7 to 10 years. A lot's going to happen.
Well, that does it for us today. We'll see you back here next week.
In the meantime, don't forget to introduce a kid to the great outdoors.
Transportation provided by Premier Transportation. Call 1-800-899-7433.